And we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's your man, 2T's, and this is another edition of That's a Bet podcast. Week 16 NFL football. We are getting down to the nitty gritty here. But y'all know, I got to start every show with a little flow. And it kind of sounds like this when you know I'm spitting, off the top of the dome. I got to introduce the greatest co-host in all of podcast land. Y'all know his one alias, Willy J. Y'all also know his other alias, Willy baby. But you know what he really goes by now. Willy baby. What's good with you, Willy?
Not too much. I'm following the money and staying sharp. That's what I do, man.
Hey, I know you do that, man. It's been fun these past couple weeks. I think we've really started to really hone in on a good little trend here and getting on a nice roll, man. Last week was another good week for us, so
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see what happens, man, moving forward for the rest of the season. Now, Will, before we get cranked up, y'all know how I always do, man. Give you a quick synopsis of what I kind of saw looking at this slate as me and Will were handicapping. For me, guys, if there's no purpose for the game, i.e., no, the teams are out the playoffs, they really have nothing to play for, I would highly advise you to bet smart with those games, i.e., in-game betting, because you really don't know what's going to happen with those teams.
Right.
Versus we got, like Packers, Vikings this weekend. We got the Saints, Titans. We have some matchups that have huge playoff implications. Cowboys, Eagles. Those games are the games that I think you can really make some money off of it if you really just look at what's at stake and how these coaches are going to coach. Will, is that kind of the same way you kind of looked at the slate?
Absolutely, man. When it's something, when it's a game where I feel like, well, dang, I really can't get a grasp on this. Let me just see how the first quarter or so plays out. And then as soon as I see what they're looking like on the field, I know exactly, what direction I want to go. So, yeah, there are a few games like that because we talked about this last week. We're in a point in the season where you got teams that are, they're coming up with the game plan, looking at the film and saying, look, we got to have it this week. We got to have it. And then you got teams that are, playing for next year, tanking, that kind of thing. So I try to stay away from those teams unless it's a tanking team playing a team that has to have it. But if it's two tanking teams, you never know what's going to happen. So it's that time of the year.
Yep, it definitely is, man. So before we get rolling on week 16 NFL here, Will, let's do some housekeeping real quick. Will, let them know where they can follow you on social media, man.
Join the group. It's Group 13, Group 13 Sports. That's it right there. On Instagram, Group 13 Sports. Twitter, Group 13 Sports. Group 13 SPORTS Sports.
Yes, sir. And y'all can follow your boy 2T's. That's Lockett, Lockett. The number 2TS, Lockett 2T's on Instagram and Twitter. Also, you guys, make sure you follow the show at That's a Bet Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. And on YouTube, make sure y'all follow us, subscribe, leave comments, and like, man. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you guys hit that right there. Here, you hit the bottom right there, subscribe. Go right down there. So with that being said, Will, I want to jump right into the slate. It's a little bit different slate, guys. We have 3 Saturday games coming up. And then we have the rest of our normal Sunday slate. I think it's going to be 10 games there, and then our Monday night game with Green Bay and Minnesota cleaning it up. So without further ado, Will, let's hop right into this Saturday slate here, NFL games. I want to start with your hometown team here, the Houston Texans. They're traveling to Tampa Bay. Currently, that line, Will, is sitting at -3, It opened at -1, but Houston Texans are laying 3 points on the road against Tampa Bay. Over under is sitting at 50. Willie J, what you like for this one, if anything at all?
I'm going to be honest with you, Lockett. To me, this is an up and down type of deal. We talked about it all year with Houston. Up, down, up, down. And for me, I'm going to take the under in this spot because, first of all, we don't know Godwin is out. Chris Godwin, been an excellent receiver this year for the Bucs. Mike Evans, he's out. So they're gonna have a bunch of backups playing wide receiver for the Buccaneers. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. That's the question mark in my head. So with Tampa Bay's offense and then looking at Houston, I expect Houston to come out flat. Um, and what I mean by flat, I'm not saying they won't cover or anything like that. What I'm saying is maybe they could come out a little, slow and sleepwalk, that type of deal. Houston is 12-3 to the under on the road after a blowout win of 20 points or more.
Mm.
Okay? That
Mm.
goes back to what we said with Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans. They don't handle success well. And so for me, I'm going to take the under in this spot. I don't know what I'm getting on Tampa Bay's offensive side. And I don't know. Well, I know what's going to happen with Houston. I feel like they're going to come out flat. So I'm going to take the under in this spot.
Got you. For me, Will, I actually like the under in this game as well. And it's rare for me to say because y'all know how I feel about Tampa Bay and that auto over. But it always comes down to this when it comes to playing a team that's been historically over. What are the injury news? Who's the opposing team? And what is at stake? Tampa Bay, they're out the playoffs. The Houston Texans have a lot to play for in this situation. So I think Romeo Cornell is going to bring that defense this week. And guys, this is something to really think about here. And I kind of saw this with the Denver Texans game, Will. This was a narrative I kind of pulled out. Vernon Hargraves was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
Right?
I forgot about that.
He
Yeah.
got cut by the Bucks because they said a lack of effort, lack of playing hard. Vernon Hargraves now plays for the Texans and he's headed back to Tampa
He going to
to
play
play
hard
against his
this
old
week.
team. He's going to play his heart out. I think it's going to be something they're going to have conversations like, for instance, me and Will in high school and stuff. If we know we playing one of our friends at another school, we talk about it all week. Hey, Will, we got to go get our boy, man. It's one of those things in the locker room where if the Texans couldn't get up for this game, I think they know they have to get up for it, one, to try to win a division. And I think they're going to play hard for Vernon Hargraves, just like the Broncos will played hard for Kareem Jackson, who was on the Broncos and he used to play for the Texans. So I see that those type of narratives this time of the season is something that I put into my equation when I come to picking teams here.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, Will, I think the defense is going to show up for the Texans. And I think Bill O'Brien telling himself that he didn't do a good job coaching against Denver. He told that to the public. What they do the next game, came out and had a great game plan against the Titans. They beat them on the road. I think they're going to continue that streak here. Give me the Texans -3 here. This is my best bet of the week. I also like the under in this one. It's barely going to go under because the Bucks are so beat up. But here's some two nuggets for you guys to kind of wrap this all up. The Houston Texans are 7-1 straight up in their last 8 games as a road favorite. So I think they definitely win it. And I think if they win it, they're going to win by more than 3 points just because it's the Buccaneers and Jameis Winston. I think he'll go back to his old self. And Tampa Bay is 3-13 straight up in their last 16 Saturday games. Wow. And they're also 0-8 against the spread on Saturday games. So if that tells you anything there, then that lets you know there. So Texans -3, they'll cover that and the under in this game for me too, Will. So
Let me clarify something for everybody that's watching or listening to the podcast and watching on YouTube. When I said Houston is 12-3 to the under on the road after a blowout straight up win of 20 points or more, I wasn't talking about Houston. Houston just came, they just won a nail biter against the Titans. I'm talking about against their opponents. So actually that speaks to the coaching of Houston, right?
yeah.
What I'm saying by that is Tampa Bay is coming off of a win last week against Detroit where they blew the Lions out. So they won by 20 points or more. So what I'm saying is Houston is going to lock in on defense. They're going to make sure that they're focused, but I still think they're going to be a little sleep on offense. So that's where I'm coming into play with the under. Just want to clarify that.
Okay, cool. Gotcha. All right, the second game on Saturday here, Will. The Buffalo Bills trying to take the division, the AFC East, from the New England Patriots, traveling to Foxborough to take on the Tom Brady, old man Brady Patriots here. Patriots are laying 6.5 points. Excuse me, hold on. Did it move? They're laying 6 points currently at home, Will. Over under is 37 here. Real quick for me here, Will. This is something I kind of caught earlier today. Shout out to Visa Network, man. I listen to them a lot of times and get a lot of their stuff. Brent Musburger and his crew there. But the New England Patriots, Will, are 17-1-1. 17-0. Covering the first quarter spread, Will, in the last 17 games at home.
You kind of taking it out. You've already taken it out my mouth. Keep going.
And that is a auto lock for me. Like, I'm not going to touch the game total for some reason. I'm a heavily lean Buffalo because I think Buffalo in the under in this game. But my lock in this game, taking the Pats. It's only at half a point right now, Will. It's currently sitting at half a point. I think it's going to jump up a little bit once everybody kind of jumps on this. But give me the Patriots first quarter spread here. It's really not too much more for me to say. I'm going to get in and out on this one on Saturday, man. So what you got for this one?
I mean, starting off with what you said, I think that's free money. They're giving out free money by it being half a point.
Yep.
Think about this. This is a Saturday game, so you don't have quite as much time to prepare. So in that situation, I'm looking at Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick has been doing this thing for a long time. I think he knows exactly the antidote, the formula to get his team ready to go. And I think that's a coaching mismatch on that aspect. He's got, he knows how to deal with the shorter time to prepare. That's number one.
Yep.
Number two, this is a game where New England still has a shot at the number one seed. They're going to play this game tough. They're going to come out. They want to continue to let Buffalo know and everybody else in the division, this is our deal. We run this, right?
Yep.
So I think New England will come out and play extremely hard. Maybe if you're feeling good and you want to keep betting the quarters, maybe you take Buffalo in the fourth quarter once New England lets their foot off the gas a little bit. But
That's true.
for me, number one, I'm taking New England. Less than a touchdown. You said it was at 6. Less than a touchdown. I'm taking New England to cover for the game as well. I think New England is going to put it on them this week in Foxborough, right? Number two, I love the under in this spot. I don't know where the offense is coming from. Buffalo, who is 11-3 this year against the under or for the under. And then I don't know where the offense is coming from New England. New England has not been great on offense, but they can create turnovers, get short fields, and score. But I expect the Patriots to cover, and this is a little bit opposite of what we talk about.
Yeah.
The under, and I'm taking the favorite in this spot, right? So I like New England for the first quarter, for the game if it's less than a touchdown, and the under in the spot.
Well, that makes sense, Will. I mean, it kind of goes against our normal thought pattern, but when you have two top 10 defenses, then you can kind of throw that out the window with the over under with the dog. So
one quick thing. December games this year, 10-5 to the under, 67% since 2003, 57% to the under. So I like those numbers.
Wow. Okay, that's what's up, man. Cool. All right, now let's go. Let's jump into the late game here on Saturday. The LA Rams headed out to San Francisco. The 49ers are laying 6.5 points at home. Over under is 44.5. Willie J. Battle of the NFC West. This has huge playoff seeding implications here. Will, what you like for this game?
I think what was the line? What did you catch it at? Or what are you looking at right now?
6.5.
Yeah, that's what I got. So I think that's too many points in this situation. I like the Rams plus 6.5 against San Francisco. San Francisco is a very good team. Don't get me wrong. The injuries that they have right now on defense is starting to concern me. And I think it started to rear its ugly head last week against the Falcons. That was the classic, like we talked about, the sandwich game where they can come out flat, and Falcons, ended up getting them. San Francisco is going to be motivated for this game, but I also think the Rams will be motivated as well. This is a divisional matchup. These teams know each other, and for me, the Rams have to bounce back from the last time they played. Goff threw for 74 yards in the last game that they played. 74 yards, and the Rams only lost 20-7. So it wasn't like they really did anything on offense. That Rams defense knows what's going on and what Shanahan is trying to do. And think about this, Lockett. The Rams got blown out last week in Dallas, and road underdogs coming off of a loss are hitting at a 64% clip this year. That, for me, I got to take that 6.5 points in a divisional matchup in December where you got playoff implications, where the Rams know they need to continue winning. If they can win these last two games and maybe get a loss or two by the Vikings, they have a shot to get in the playoffs. So I'm going to take the Rams in this spot.
Got you. Well, I'm passing the game here, but it's a heavy lean to the Rams for me. The Rams are 6-0 Will against the spread in their last 6 games after a loss. And also the 49ers have been pretty mediocre against their division. They're 2-7-1 against the spread in their last 10 NFC West games. Ooh. So something to be said about divisional matchups. I don't know what it is about them playing in their division, but they struggle a little bit. And like we said, they're very beat up. And the Rams here, Will, the Rams are 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 road games. So
Wow.
you take away
Wow.
that blowout in Dallas, the Rams actually play pretty well away from LA and the LA Coliseum there, where there's really not a huge home field advantage. So it's a pass for me, but I'm a heavy lean to the Rams here. I might be throwing something on it depending on how this injury news shakes up for the 49ers. So we'll see about that one. All right, Willie J, let's hop into our Sunday slate here. Detroit Lions headed out to Denver. Denver's laying 7 points at home. Over under is 38.5. Will, this is a strong pass for me. Really don't have anything on this one at all, man. You got any action on this?
No, no, no. This is a pass. I don't want to bet a game where Drew Lock is the quarterback and David Blau is the quarterback on the other side. Um, I can't do it. The Lions have shown that they can move the ball a little bit up and down the field. It's supposed to be in a 50-degree temperature range and clear. So it's supposed to be a good day for them to be able to move the ball around. So maybe if you like the over, it is kind of low. I
Yeah,
think it's in the high 30s. If you like the over, maybe you take a shot on that. But for me, I'm passing on it.
got you. Got you. We in the same boat with that one, man. All right, next game here, the Oakland, excuse me, the Nomad Raiders. They kind of in between cities here after they're leaving Oakland, but the Raiders are headed to LA, taking on the Chargers here. The Chargers are laying 7.5 points, Will. 7.5 points at home versus the Raiders. Over under is 45.5. Well, this is easy for me. I was waiting for this to jump above 7. I think everybody saw that emotional loss for the Raiders last week as, oh my gosh, that's it. The Raiders are giving up. I just think it was one of those situations, and we called it. Will, what we say? They were going to be high emotion first half, and then
Yep.
second half, all that adrenaline was going to die out,
Yep.
and hopefully the Jags were good enough to win a game, and they did. They came and won the game. I mean, we called it. So give me the Raiders here plus 7.5. I don't see it. I was high on the Chargers for a couple weeks, but I think it comes down to coaching here, and I think Gruden's a little bit better coach than the Chargers coach here. And I hate to say that because I don't want to see him go, but give me the Raiders here plus 7.5 here on the road. Will, what you like?
This is my best bet of the week. I like the under in this spot.
Ooh,
This has been a game when they played in whether it's San Diego or LA the last couple years. This has been a historically under game in this series. Since 2000, the
mm.
Chargers are 15-3-1 to the under when hosting the Raiders.
Oh wow,
Um, right, right. And then also when you slice it a little bit more, in their last 7 games, they're 7-0 to the under against the Raiders when revenging a loss. So we know how they lost earlier in the year. This is a game where they're fully healthy on defense now. They got their stars. They got, Derwin James. They've got Bosa. They've got Ingram on the other side. This is a game where they're going to come out and they're going to play hard. I think
yeah,
this is their last game playing at that raggedy. That was not raggedy. It's a little small stadium. So I think they're going to try to end that last game in that building with a win. The defense is going to come out and play strong, but I just think that this is going to be an under game. When I look at the Oakland offense, it's been putrid lately, man. I mean, think about this. In the last, what is it, 5 games? That's what it is.
yeah.
I got it written down. Last 5 games, the Raiders have only scored a maximum of 21 points. There was a game where they scored 10 points in one, and then single digits in 2 other games in the last 5.
Wow.
Offensive tackle Trent Brown is out. He's out this week. Josh Jacobs, he's out as well. I don't know where these points are going to come from on offense for the Raiders, at least. Chargers, they're kind of, hit or miss on offense, but they can play defense. So for me,
Yeah,
I'm going to take the under in this spot.
gotcha. So Will's on the under. Y'all heard me. I'm on the dog. Y'all know what that means, man. Y'all better get your money ready. So, all right, Will, let's come on down to the A. They're not quite Morehouse College anymore. They're actually showing a little something. The 5-9 Atlanta Falcons, I'm gonna say it here, guys, are laying 7 points at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, or should we say the FAMU Rattlers for them because they look trash. The over under is 47 here, Will. Will, this was a tough one for me because I really wanted to put some action on it, but it's a pass for me. I think it's one of those games again where there's both teams really don't have any motivation here. Atlanta's trying to spin it like they're going to play for the fans, and they want to give us one win at home. I mean, they're 11-12 since Mercedes-Benz open. So, okay, y'all going to go 500. You think that's going to make us happy for next year with our season tickets? No. So it's a pass for me.
No,
I'm
we'd
not
rather
touching
take
it.
a higher draft pick. Stop winning, man.
Exactly. Doing all this nonsense. So you got any action on this one, Will?
Yeah, I'm not going to pass this. I'm going to go ahead and fade Atlanta in this game. I'm taking Jacksonville in the points. This is a classic spot for the Falcons. They're kind of like the Texans where they'll come out flat after a big time win, right?
Yep.
In their last 10 games, they are 0-10 against the spread in non-conference games. And Jacksonville is 4-1 against the spread when Minshew is on the road when Minshew is playing quarterback.
Ooh.
Underdogs are hitting at 59% this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll with Jacksonville. And just another thing, just so you know this. Last nugget. Since the year of 2000, when you have two teams that are going to finish the season with losing records
Mm-hmm.
playing in week 16, that's the second to last week of the season, right? The underdog is hitting at 68%, and that's 80 games, right? So
Ooh.
over 80 games, the underdog in week 16, you got two teams that have losing records is hitting at 68%. I'm going to take the underdog with Jacksonville.
Okay. All right. Look at Willie J. Shoot. I can't touch my birds, man. Every time I touch it, it just gets ugly. So, all right. Next game here on the slate will the New Orleans Saints, after that butt whooping they put on the Colts, are headed to Tennessee. They are actually laying 2.5 points on the road. The Saints are here, Will. Over under is 49.5. You got any action on this game as they take on the
No, no, no,
Titans?
no, no, no. This is a pass for me because, and the reason why I say that, just as good as New Orleans and Breeze looked last week, you put them outside on grass, is no telling what can happen. They could go over,
Mm-hmm.
but they could also go under. So I'm leaving that alone. I don't know if they can cover. Tennessee has to win this game. So for me, too many questions marks, and I don't want to play around with the fire. I'm gonna pass this one.
Got you. This is a hard pass for me because I actually really like the Tennessee Titans in this scenario. Like we said, a high emotional win for the Saints with the Drew Brees getting the records and all that good stuff. The Saints do have a lot to play for as far as seeding, but for me, I think the Saints are kind of seed proof. I think they're one of the few teams that I think in the playoffs can go on the road, especially the locations that they would go in the NFC. Like they would have to go now, unless they went to Green Bay. Like going to San Francisco doesn't scare me. Going to Seattle, they already went to Seattle and beat them. If they so happen to play the Vikings, I mean that's a rematch. That's indoors either way. So their destinations really don't scare me as far as playoff destinations. But I just don't like that 2.5. It don't look right, man. It just
No, you
looks.
can't take 2.5. You can't take that.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if anything, you got to take the Titans here. So it's a heavy lean to the Titans, but I'm gonna pass the game here. Well, I don't know. I think Tennessee kind of burned themselves out after that nice little 5 game run they had, putting up all those points. I think they peaked too early, in a sense, and I think it's just gonna be one of those tricky games. So,
Yeah.
all right, Willie J. Next game, NFC East. This is an easy one for me here. Washington is hosting the Giants here. Redskins and Giants. The Washington Redskins are laying a point at home currently right now. Over under is 42. Well, this is an easy pass. Like you say, I'm not touching this game at all. It seems juicy just because, of the scenario. The teams really don't have nothing to play for. They can go all out. But Daniel Jones is coming back for the Giants. I don't trust either one of these quarterbacks, man. So it's a pass for me, Will. What you like?
I'm gonna take the under. December divisional unders are 10-5. That's 67% this season. Since 2003, that's hitting at 57%. Once again, December games that are divisional matchups, the under. I'm taking that. I don't trust either one of these offenses. I just can't see it. Now, it could possibly get over if go over if they turn the ball over. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna, both of these teams feel like they're supposed to win that game on Sunday. So I think they'll come out and play hard, especially on defense. So I'm gonna take the under.
Okay. All right. Under. I might have to relook at it because I kind of like the under too. I like that little nugget you gave us there. All right, Willie J. This is a game right here that's I'm gonna have some probably my biggest bet of the week here. Pittsburgh Steelers. They are headed to New York Jets here. The Pittsburgh Steelers are laying 3.5 points on the road currently. The over under is 37 here. Will, you got any action on this game?
This is a hard under for me. The under for the Pittsburgh Steelers is 11-3 this year, and for the Jets is 7-7. I don't care what the Jets are going to do. They haven't really shown me anything on offense, especially last week and the week before, even the week before that. They're not doing much on offense. Pittsburgh with Doug Hodges, I think he threw 4 picks this past week against Buffalo,
Yeah.
4 interceptions. Pittsburgh this year, being that they've had these backup quarterbacks in there, their scheme has been mistake free and play defense.
Yep.
Buttoned up, they played well. So I think that'll be a heavy emphasis this week. And Duck Hodges, I don't think he's going to turn it over 4 times because they've stressed it all week. He can't kill him, like Mike Tomlin said about Mason
Yeah.
Rudolph. Can't kill him, right? So I think this game will go under.
Yep, I'm right there with you guys. If you're not taking the under on this game, something's wrong with you. Mike Tomlin in these type of situations is just the under automatic machine here. The total has gone under in the Steelers' last 6 road games, and with an average combined score of 35 points here. So we're already under the total there. And the total has gone under in the 13 of the Steelers' last 16 games, Will, versus the Jets. Average score of 30 points. Everybody's looking at the revenge game for Le'Veon Bell. Is it going to be a shootout? Le'Veon Bell doesn't play quarterback. He doesn't play wide receiver. He plays running back. He's solely dependent upon Adam Gase to call plays and get him the rock. And we've seen this season that Adam Gase does not feature his players, his best players. We saw it in Miami. We're seeing it in New York. And the big key here, factor here, Will, Robbie Anderson, wide receiver for the Jets, is sick. And they're saying he might not play this week. I think that's going to, if he doesn't play, I think this total might drop to 36.5, which, most of the time the books don't drop it below 37, but I think it may drop to that just because the under is going to get pounded so much. But the under here is the play here, under 37. That's a lock for me here, Will. Honestly, my best bet of the week personally. So, all right, moving right along. Let's head out to Miami, man. The Miami Dolphins will be hosting the Cincinnati Bengals, the poop bowl of the week. It's currently sitting at a pick'em game here, Will. It opened at -3 for the Dolphins, but everybody's on the Bengals here. Over under is 46.5. Will, you got any action on it?
This is a hard pass for me. I'm not betting this game.
Yeah. he want to do it, but he can't. I'm in the same boat, Will. But it looks so juicy, man. It's just like, ooh, the Dolphins, Bengals. Yeah.
I would do the under if anything, but I'm passing it.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I'm passing it. I was looking at the total here. I'll be honest with you, though. If I was looking at a total, though, I would more lean the over just because I think this is going to be just a, all right, backyard type of game where they throwing it up. Fitzmagic doing craziness. Andy Dalton is trying to put on the show. Shoot, Andy Dalton may be the quarterback for the Dolphins next year for all we know if they decide to go a different route in the draft here. But yeah, so it's a pass for me too, Will. All right, Carolina is heading to Indianapolis here. The Colts are laying 6.5 points at home. Over under is 46. Will, this is another pass for me. It's tough because I'm leaning the Colts heavy. I just think it's one of those things. They have something to play for. They got embarrassed last week. I think they want to get that taste out of their mouth before the season ends, and they have a chance to finish 500 without Andrew Luck in a season where everybody thought that it would just be totally crap. So. It's a pass for me, but it's a hard lean to the Colts here in this game. What you like, Will?
I'm taking the over. I don't care what the number is for the over. I'm taking that. Will Greer starting this week with the Panthers. He's a gunslinger. So either he's going to, throw it downfield and make plays for the Panthers, or, he's going to turn it over in his own territory and lead to easy points for the Colts. The Colts are going to be fired up. They did not play well last week against the Saints. Yep. So I'm going to take the over. Carolina on non-grass fields, turf. We're talking about turf right now. 21-4 to the over in their last 25 games. I just think this is a team, when you look at Christian McCaffrey and the weapons that they have on the outside, the DJ Moore, the receiver, he's had a good year for Maryland. He's had a pretty good year. He's over 1,100 yards.
Will, quick nugget. DJ Moore has had over 80 yards a game in every game this season and at least 5 catches.
Wow. Only player. Look at him in DFS.
Yeah, him and Michael Thomas, the only two in the NFL to do that. So yeah.
Number 10 from Ohio State. I can't think of his name right now. Who plays for the Panthers?
Curtis Samuel.
That's it right there. That's another weapon. They got some guys that can run all over the field. Of course, you got Christian McCaffrey. The Colts. I think Frank Reich has a great scheme, so I think this game will go over.
Yep. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, next game here, the Baltimore Ravens, 12-2, headed to Cleveland. The Ravens are laying, Will, 9.5 points on the road in the dog pound against a team, Will, that people forget. This is one of their 2 losses this season. The Browns beat the brakes off the Ravens. Over under is 49.5. Will, I can't lie, man. This is to me one of those scenarios, kind of how I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their over. Until they prove otherwise, and they lay an egg and poop down their pants, give me the Baltimore Ravens to cover here. As long as it doesn't touch 10, I can see them covering it here. So the 9.5, I'm gonna lay those points on the road. I just think the Ravens one have motivation because they did lose to the Browns early in the season and got pretty embarrassed at home against the Browns. So I think they're gonna have some motivation to bounce back here. Plus, they can clinch home field advantage if they can get this win as well. So they're going to definitely have something to play for. The Browns, we all know what's going on in Cleveland. So much drama there. Do they really like Freddie Kitchens? You know what's going to happen with them? There's really nothing to play for here. So for me, Will, the 9.5 here for the Ravens, I love that, and I actually love the over as well because I think the Browns can get some scores on the Ravens. We saw last week. That you can put up a little bit of points on them with the Jets was moving the ball pretty good on them. So give me the Ravens here minus 9.5 and the over the 40. What is it at now? The 49.5. I think they can put up 50. Will, what you like?
I'm rolling with you on this. I'm taking Baltimore. You know, if you can get it at 9.5, that 10-point number is a key number. I
Yep.
like Baltimore. Cleveland is 3-15. Excuse me, 3-15-2 against the spread in the last 5 years against good teams with 70% winning percentages or above. So what happens? What that's saying to us is that they don't come out and play well against good football teams, right?
Yeah,
Um,
for real.
Baltimore 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 games. And this is a winning streak that's at least 6 games now. I don't know exactly the number, but they've been winning recently, right? So you said it earlier. Baltimore is going to play this one tough. They're playing for home field advantage, and the revenge factor is there. Don't know how it happened, but they
Yeah.
got beat badly by the Browns and earlier in the year. So I think Baltimore is going to come back and play this one tough. I'll take Baltimore.
Got you. All right, well, let's head to the game of the week, as everybody's calling it, which is crazy between 7-7 teams. The Dallas Cowboys is heading to Philly to take on the Philadelphia Eagles here. The Cowboys currently are laying 2 points on the road, and the over/under is 46. Will, you got any action on this one, man?
Yeah, I'm fading the Eagles in this spot. Lane Johnson is out on the offensive line. We've seen all year Carson Wentz getting sacked, seeing that ugly red face up under his helmet because he's getting hit all over the place. I think this is another game where they're going to have issues with trying to block the Cowboys' defensive line. I'm gonna take the Cowboys in this spot. This number is small enough. What do you have the number at right now? What is it?
It's -2. It opened at a pick
-2.
'em.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's a field goal. Cowboys can get that. The Cowboys have owned the NFC East. In their last 15 games, they are 13-2 against the spread. Um, for me, that's something that I can't ignore. And when you think about Philadelphia, when Dallas goes to Philadelphia, in their last 7 games, they're 6-1 straight up, and against the
Ooh.
spread, and
Yeah.
against the spread. Zeke has eaten the Eagles alive. This is a game, since Zeke has been playing, he's killed the Eagles. This is a game that the Cowboys have to have, so I'm gonna take the Cowboys in this spot.
Got you. Well, this is tricky for me. Every time the Cowboys for me are in a situation where it's y'all got to get this one, ride or die, you know, all or nothing type of game in that scenario, they have always seemed to let me down. So for me, I really don't want to touch the spread here. I think the under is the play for me. The Eagles games have gone under in their last 5 outings at home, which I mean, what average score, I think of 33 points it is. Yeah, average score of 33 points. So I think this will go well under. And the nugget I also found, I can't remember the record off the top of my head. I told myself I wasn't going to write it down to see if I can remember it, and I'm blanking on the total, the number. But the Dallas Cowboys first quarter unders will historically is like I think hitting at a 95, 96% clip in their past 21 outings. I think there's something like 19-2 to the under in their last 21 games that they've had, which is something outrageous. I'm gonna find it and I'm actually gonna post it on social media here. But I saw that nugget, man, and for me, I think that's gonna be another one of my bets here. The under for the game and the under for the first quarter, I think, is the play here. It's something about the Cowboys in those first quarters, especially against NFC East opponents here. And then just looking at this game, Will said it. Zeke destroys the Eagles. I think the Cowboys are going to ride Zeke. If there's anybody they're going to say if they lose, Zeke is going to have 30 touches and almost 150 yards, and that's how they're just going to go down with their highest paid player and their bell cow. So give me the under for the game here, Will. the under 46, and I also like the first quarter under, which is currently at, let's see here, I think it's sitting at 10.
Yeah, you got to take the under in that spot.
Yeah, it's sitting at 10 for the first quarter. For both teams, total there. So I like both of those, and I really, really love that first quarter bet a lot too. So
Philly is 23-10 to the under at home with Doug Peterson as the head coach. So
there you
that
go.
should tell you something right there.
Y'all look. If y'all don't hear us, y'all not listening then. All right, Willie J. We got 3 more games here. Let's roll through these. Arizona Cardinals. They are headed to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Seahawks are laying 9.5 points at home. Over under is 50.5. Will, you got any action on this NFC West matchup?
I'm not going to bet it. I'm passing it, but I would slightly lean towards Arizona. This is a divisional game. Seattle, they're a little overrated in my opinion. They've been playing all their games all year. They've been playing them close. And Arizona, in their last 4 road games in Seattle, they're 3-1 straight up and 4-0 against the spread. So I don't know. I know this is a new coaching staff, new quarterback, new personnel, but with the way Seattle plays and the way Arizona is kind of stuck around all year with these games, I think they can cover. But I'm not betting it.
Got you. For me, it's a pass for me too, Will. But I'm heavy leaning to the over in this situation. I just think it's a scenario where I think the Cardinals are going to pull out all stops to try to ruin the seeding for the Seahawks. And then the Seahawks, too, have to put the pedal to the metal here to beat the Cardinals, I think, in my opinion, especially covering them. But the biggest thing here is Seattle's defense is banged up. They already weren't that good in the first place. And the total here, Will, for the Cardinals has gone over the last 4 road games versus Seattle. So they just seem to be able to score there. And I don't know. I just got a weird feeling, man. Larry Fitzgerald is about to go off. He's coming down to the end of his career. He had a pretty good game last week against the Browns, and they're starting to feed him a little bit more. And he's historically he's the Seahawks are one of the few teams that he averages over 100 yards and 7 catches against too. So I like the over in this game. I'm heavily leaning. I'm gonna pass it, but I'm gonna lean the over in this matchup. All right, Willie J. Kansas City Chiefs, they're headed to Chicago to take on the Bears. The Chiefs are laying 6 points at home. Over under is 44.5. Will I want to touch it? It looks so juicy. The Bears got knocked out of the playoffs. Chiefs had a nice win in the snow. But for me, this is one of those games where it's like, I don't know. I can see the Bears backdoor covering late. So I'm just going to pass on the game, man. I really don't have any action on it. What you got on it?
I'm not touching the spread. I've been all over the unders this week. I'm taking the under in this one. For me, I think this is a game where it's kind of a grind. Is this a Sunday night game?
Yep, Sunday night.
Sunday night primetime games, those games have been going under all year, man. So I'm gonna take the under in this spot. Primetime unders are 63%, 29 and 17 this season. And for me, I just don't see where the offense is coming from with Chicago. They're up and down. The Chiefs defense hasn't been great, but the one thing that we have this week is familiarity. Matt Nagy was a head coach offensive coordinator under Andy Reid. And they run kind of the same schemes in Chicago. They just don't have the personnel. They don't have the horses to do what Kansas City does. So
that's true.
When you look at Steve Spagnuolo, the D coordinator for the Chiefs, he kind of has a feel for the system, being that they practice against it every day. And Andy Reid can kind of tell them, hey, this is how you defend this is how you defend that. And the Chiefs defense has been playing well as of lately. They've been going under with their total. So I'm going to take the under in this spot in Chicago at night.
Got you, man. All right, well,
and let's last six games. Okay, 6-0 between these guys in their last 6. So for whatever reason, they're playing under games.
I'm gonna have to take a longer look at that, Will. Now as you say that, might be on there under with you, dog. All right, Willie J. Let's close out this slate with the Minnesota Vikings hosting the Green Bay Packers here. Spread is currently sitting. Let's see. The Vikings are laying 5.5 points at home. The over/under is 47. Will, this is pretty straightforward for me. I picked the Packers to win the division. I picked the Packers to have possibly the MVP and Rodgers. I'm going to miss on that with Lamar, but I still think the Packers win this division. And it's tough for me to pick them here. It was at 4.5 for a long time, and it finally jumped up above the 5.5 range. So I like the Packers here at the plus 5.5 on the road, even though I'm going to give you guys a nugget, which had me like, ugh, I don't know if I should take them. The Minnesota Vikings will are 9-0 straight up and 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 games at home as a favorite of 4 to 4.5 points, which it was at that for pretty much until today. And the over will is 14-6 in their past 20 game in that same scenario. So it's tough for me because the Vikings at home have won 6 consecutive home games by about 14 points, pretty much by 13.5 points. But I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have something to say about that. I think he's going to have something for the Vikings. Dalvin Cook is going to be out. Madison is out for the Vikings as well. They're going to have Mike Boone, I think it is. Is it Mike Boone or whatever his name is, Mr. Boone? But Will, primetime, are you putting your money on Kirk Cousins? That's the question you have to ask yourself before you go in there and say, hey, I want the Vikings minus 5.5.
Nah,
I'm not doing it, Willie
it.
J. So give me the Packers plus 5.5 in this situation. I actually think they win the game outright. Go ahead and take them to the NFC North and go undefeated this season against their division because they already beat everybody in this division. They haven't lost in the division. So I really like the Packers in this situation. Will, who you like?
I love the under in this spot. And they're in the last 5 games between these teams, the under is 5-0 between Green Bay and Minnesota. And then when you look at Minnesota playing at home, they play really good defense at home. They are 13-2 to the under in their last 15 games against the NFC North. So against teams where they know, what they're trying to come out there and do, they play tough defense. Green Bay has been an under team. Well, I won't go crazy with it. Green Bay, right now they are what are they? The Vikings are 6-8. Oh, so both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the under is 8-6 in the Vikings games, and then it's 6-8 in the Packers games. The Packers recently, that offense has not just been, blowing it out of the water. So I'm gonna take the under in this spot. When I listed those 2 nuggets earlier, but the last nugget I'll leave you guys with, and we've already said it. Prime time unders are 28-17 to the under. That's 62%. So for me, I'm taking the under.
Gotcha. And one last nugget. If this game is going to go under, it favors the Packers. Anytime it's an under low scoring game, it's harder to cover for that favorite. Just always remember that. So a lot of those primetime games, the road teams or the dogs have covered this year because of that reason. There's been so many unders. So all right, Willie J, that's week 16, wrapping it up here for you guys. If you guys have any questions for us, make sure you guys hit us up on social media at That's a Bet Podcast. Me, I'm at Lockett2Ts, and Willie J is at Group 13 Sports. I appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, comment, do what you got to do. But, Will, you hear that, man? Hey, what that music, bro? Hey, don't take us home, Willie J.
Look, we got a fun weekend. We got plenty of bowl games tomorrow. We got NFL tomorrow. We got NFL on Sunday as well. So shop around, find the best numbers you can find, and remember, if you see a bet, make a bet. That's a bet.
That's a bet. Hey, for Willie J, Willie baby, I'm Lockett2Ts, man. We will see you guys next week for another edition of That's a Bet Podcast. Hey, it's only one way to do it is to do it. All right? See y'all next time. Peace.